Let's get right into it. Number 9. The baby cage. In the 1930s, you could look up and see a baby in a cage hanging out of a window. The baby cage was a wire cage that you'd attach to your apartment window where you'd put your baby for fresh air and sunshine. Think of it like a window-mounted chicken coop, but for human babies. These things were especially popular in London and New York, where apartment living meant limited access to outdoor space. The inventor, Emma Red, patented this death-defying device in 1923, claiming it would help city babies get the same benefits as country babies. To give babies fresh air, parents would dangle them outside 10th floor apartments like Christmas ornaments. The cages came with a roof to protect babies from falling debris, as if that was the biggest safety concern. Doctors actually recommended these things. They thought the cold air would toughen up the babies and protect them from illness. Eleanor Roosevelt even bought one for her daughter in 1906. The future First Lady dangled her baby out a window. There are no recorded cases of babies falling from these death traps. The baby cage finally went out of style in the 1950s. Number 8. The Shoe-Fitting Fluoroscope. Walking into a shoe store in the 1940s, you'd see what looks like a wooden box with 3 viewing ports. You stick your feet inside while wearing your potential new shoes. You look through the viewfinder and see the bones in your feet, right there in the store. This was the Shoe-Fitting Fluoroscope, an X-ray machine disguised as a fancy shoe-fitting tool. Parents loved it because they could see if their kids' shoes had room to grow. Kids loved it because they could see their skeleton feet wiggling around like a spooky Halloween decoration. These machines were giving off radiation like it was candy on Halloween. Some of these devices were leaking radiation from all sides, giving the whole family DNA damage. The salespeople got the worst of it, standing next to these things all day. Many of them ended up with serious radiation burns, and some even had to have limbs amputated. But hey, at least they knew their shoes fit perfectly. It wasn't until the 1950s that people finally realized maybe getting a chest X-rays worth of radiation to buy penny loafers wasn't the best idea. Number 7. Arsenic Wallpaper. In Victorian times, people decorated their houses with wallpaper that could kill them. This gorgeous green wallpaper was all the rage. The color was called Scheele's green, and it was the most vibrant green anyone had ever seen. That beautiful green color came from arsenic, the same stuff that was the favorite murder weapon in every mystery novel. When the wallpaper got damp, which happens a lot in foggy old England, it would release arsenic gas into the air. Your fancy walls were crop dusting you with poison 24/7. People would wake up with mysterious headaches, nausea, and sometimes even go blind. Kids who had green wallpapered nurseries were getting mysteriously sick. Even the cats were dropping dead. Even after people figured out the wallpaper was killing them, some still kept it up. They literally chose death over having unfashionable walls. The wallpaper was finally banned in the 1870s, but not before it took out a bunch of fashion-forward Victorians, including Napoleon Bonaparte, who might have been killed by his green wallpaper while in exile. Number 6. Cocaine toothache drops. It's 1885 and you've got a killer toothache. You head down to your local pharmacy and pick up some Lloyd Manufacturing Company's cocaine toothache drops. The box promises instantaneous cure, and they weren't kidding. These drops were exactly what they sound like. Cocaine mixed with a bit of alcohol and flavoring, and they worked great. Of course they did. It's cocaine. Your tooth could be falling out of your head and you'd be too busy watching colors dance across the ceiling to care. The best part is these were marketed specifically for children. The box even had "for children" printed right on it. Parents would just casually rub some cocaine on their kids' gums like it was no big deal. Little Timmy's teething? Here's some cocaine. That'll fix him right up. And fix him up it did. Little Timmy wouldn't just forget about the tooth pain. He'd forget his own name. These drops were sold over the counter for 15 cents a box, which is about $4 today. The company finally stopped making them in 1914 when cocaine became illegal. Turns out, giving children cocaine wasn't such a great idea after all. Number 5. Asbestos fake snow. It's the 1930s, and you're decorating your Christmas tree. You want that perfect winter wonderland look, so you head to your local store and pick up a bag of pure asbestos to sprinkle on your tree. The Wizard of Oz even used it in the famous poppy field scene. They made it snow asbestos on Dorothy and her friends. I guess following the yellow brick road wasn't dangerous enough. They had to add cancer confetti. The stuff was perfect for fake snow. It was white, fluffy, and fire-resistant, which, to be fair, is probably a good quality when you're putting it next to hot Christmas lights. Companies actually advertised it as pure white snow that was safe and pure as the snow that falls. Obviously, it wasn't. People would get their whole family involved in decorating. It was like a family bonding activity, except the bond was microscopic fibers latching onto everyone's lungs. And the more you touched it, the more it would break down into tiny, breathable fibers. So every time little Timmy bumped the tree, he was basically creating a toxic snow globe in the living room. room. They finally banned this stuff in the 1970s, but not before countless families had their very own asbestos winter wonderland. Number 4. Mummy unwrapping parties. Imagine you're a wealthy Victorian looking for some weekend entertainment. You could go to the opera, host a fancy dinner, or unwrap a 3,000-year-old corpse in front of your friends. Rich Victorians would literally buy ancient Egyptian mummies and turn them into party entertainment. These parties were basically the Victorian version of a modern unboxing video, except instead of a new iPhone, they were unwrapping someone's great-great-great-great-grandfather. The host would invite their fanciest friends over, serve expensive food and drinks, and then bring out the main attraction, a genuine Egyptian mummy. As they peeled away the ancient bandages, they'd find all sorts of trinkets and jewelry buried within the wrappings. Sometimes they'd even find sacred scrolls, which they'd usually just toss aside because the shiny things were more important. These weren't just small gatherings. We're talking about full-on events with hundreds of people sometimes. This went on until scientists realized maybe they shouldn't be destroying priceless archaeological artifacts for party tricks. By the early 1900s, these parties stopped being cool. Number 3. The Revigator. In the 1920s, stores sold radioactive water dispensers called Revigators, ceramic water coolers lined with radioactive ore. You'd fill this pot with water before bed. By morning, your water would be charged with healthy radiation. People genuinely thought this stuff could cure everything. One of the most famous users was a guy named Eben Byers. He started drinking multiple bottles every single day. His doctor had prescribed this stuff to him for an arm injury. After a few years, Byers' teeth started falling out. Then parts of his jaw literally crumbled away. His brain was getting holes in it. When he died in 1932, he was buried in a lead-lined coffin because his body was so radioactive. The Wall Street Journal ran a headline that read, "The radium water worked fine until his jaw came off." Even after Byers died, people kept buying these things. It wasn't until the late 1930s that the government finally banned them. Number 2. Lead-based face powder. Imagine waking up every morning looking in the mirror and putting literal poison on your face. That's exactly what people did for hundreds of years with something called Venetian ceruse. This was basically face powder made from white lead, and it was the hottest beauty trend from the 1500s to the 1800s. Ladies would slather this stuff all over their faces to get that fashionable, "I've never seen the sun" look. The lead powder would stick to your skin perfectly, covering every little flaw. It gave you this smooth, pure, white complexion that everyone was dying for, and I mean literally dying for. The lead would slowly seep into your skin, day after day. First, your skin would start to gray and wrinkle, so you'd put on more powder to cover it up. Then your hair would start falling out, so you'd get a fancy wig. Your teeth would rot and turn black, so you'd smile less. And eventually you'd die from lead poisoning. People knew it was dangerous. They could literally see their friends dying from this stuff, but they kept using it because, hey, at least they looked pale and interesting at their funerals. Queen Elizabeth I was a huge fan of this deadly makeup. When scientists finally proved how deadly lead powder was, people switched to arsenic-based face powder instead. Number 1. Carbon tetrachloride fire extinguishers. Imagine you're in the 1920s, and your kitchen catches fire. You grab your trusty fire extinguisher, feeling pretty good about being prepared. But that fire extinguisher might kill you faster than the fire. Back then, they filled fire extinguishers with something called carbon tetrachloride. On paper, it was perfect. It put out fires really well. The liquid would hit the flames and turn into a heavy gas that smothered the fire. When this stuff got hot, it turned into phosgene gas. You might know it as a chemical weapon from World War I. They basically put chemical weapons in people's homes and called it safety equipment. Your curtains catch fire, you spray the extinguisher, and you've just turned your living room into a mini chemical warfare zone. The fire's out, but now you're breathing in stuff that can literally dissolve your lungs. Some people would use these extinguishers on small kitchen fires and drop dead a few hours later. They kept selling these things until the 1950s. For about 30 years, people were basically playing Russian roulette with their fire safety. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.